What a year it has been for Helium, up about 28x in 2021, achieving countless milestones and passing almost a dozen critical helium improvement protocols. The current crypto market is nearing an inflection point. The time to continue moving this bull run higher or to retreat is here and will likely be decided in the coming weeks, if not days. But will Helium care? With such a robust network that is growing astronomically, will network enthusiasts and investors really care what other coins or markets are doing? Time will tell, but let's take a few minutes to reflect at the price action on the charts and see if Helium is preparing to move higher all by itself. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the Crypto Compound channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe on the way in. In today's video, we are going to be zooming out on the charts. We're going to be looking at this weekly chart for maybe the first time here on the channel from a technical analysis perspective. We'll be taking a look at some of the milestones that Helium has gone through very quickly, just to touch on them throughout 2021. We'll also be taking a look at the comparison between the total crypto market cap versus how Helium is reacting on the daily time scale. This is very interesting to see how Helium has really been holding its own in this area. We'll also quickly take a look at similar Bitcoin levels and how they are so disjointed from the same equivalent Helium levels, which is a very, very good sign for Helium moving forward out of 2021 into 2022. So let's take a look here. Let's start on the 4-hour chart. As you can see, zoomed on in here, we are really hovering right above this 200 EMA on this 4-hour chart, not touching it, just hovering just above it, which is a very, very good sign. And as I mentioned in previous videos, I did highlight these two ranges. I do believe that we will start pinging in between these two levels or somewhere near it. It does look like we're struggling to get above this level. As you can see, this was formed here from this low here and this low here, which was ultimately broken to the downside, and then we have recovered extremely nicely. However, we are struggling now in between the 200 EMA and this resistance level here. But I do want to come here and take a second and look at all of the hips that Helium has implemented, has proposed, has approved, has deployed. As you can see, there's probably a dozen, maybe over a dozen that have been deployed or approved, which is just incredible. As you guys know, anyone in the Helium community can propose a HIP, outline the idea, articulate it through one of these GitHub pages, and spark a discussion throughout the community. As we know, a few very controversial HIPs have been proposed from community members this year, which are expected to be deployed early in 2022, one of them being HIP 39, the HNT redenomination. As you guys know, this was voted on the on-chain voting system for the first time in Q4 of 2021, and it has been approved, will be implemented likely in Q1 of 2022. I have not heard anything else, but I would expect it to happen early in the year in 2022. And there are so many critical HIPs. One of the most critical that has probably received the most praise has been the HNT max supply. This is a huge part of the tokenomics here for Helium. As you can see, JMF, who also proposed HIP 39, the redenomination, was a main author, along with Tushar Jain, one of the co-founders over at Multicoin Capital, which has a huge stake in Helium. This was a monumental turning point for Helium throughout the year and will likely go down as one of the most important HIPs in the early history of Helium. I will put a link to all of these HIPs in the description of this video so you guys can come check it out, see what has been going on throughout 2021. Of course, we didn't cover all of these. Some of them are more technical, some of them are not as important. We do try and cover the very important ones, the ones that can really move markets, that can really impact mining rewards, stuff like that. But it is so, so important. CBRS 5G also probably the most important one throughout the year, which is likely to be one of the largest positive catalysts for Helium in 2022. But guys, if we go back to the charts, of course, all of those HIPs, all of those discussions were taking place right here. This line here is the start of the first weekly candle of 2021, and we move here to present day. This is all of 2021. All of that stuff has been going on in between these bars. Now, it is super interesting to see the highlighted regions, which are the regions where helium really took off. It's quite interesting to note that they are all concentrated. All of these major price increases for helium on a weekly scale are concentrated between 3 to 5 weeks. Everything else in between, it could be considered just accumulation and consolidation from these price increases. Even this one back here from the first weekly candle of January 1st to the beginning of February was about a 4 to 5x gain. Tremendous gain, even though, of course, now that we have such bigger numbers here for helium, these don't look as significant. But this was a hugely impactful time for helium and really started to make noise throughout the helium space and get more people involved. Of course, we can see that helium is really respecting this 21 EMA on this weekly time scale. Of course, here we came the closest to breaking it and going lower. This was when the momentum was almost at its lowest point here on the chart. However, the question is, moving forward, what are we going to see? I think it is interesting to note that there are very rarely 2 green weekly candles when we don't have another 2 weekly green candles following it. As you can see here, these 2 weekly green candles would be the only consecutive 2-week green candles that don't have a 3rd weekly green candle if this week closes in the red. That is very interesting. Keep an eye out for that. This weekly candle close is going to be very critical. Of course, we can see that all of these zones have began with 2 consecutive green candles, and there are no 2 consecutive green candles anywhere else on the chart that is not in one of those zones. And guys, if we go over to the daily here, we can see that helium is really holding in tight to this zone here. If we go over to the Bitcoin chart, we can see that this would be the equivalent zone, and it, as we know, it broke down and retested this resistance as support. It does seem to be reacting nicely at that level. Of course, we're not as concerned with Bitcoin. We're more concerned with helium now finding its own momentum and dislocating itself from the broader crypto markets. Also, if we look here at the total, this is a chart that shows the total market cap of the crypto market. As you can see, it did the exact same thing Bitcoin did, as Bitcoin, of course, is the largest weighted asset in this chart or index or whatever you want to call it. It did throw back and retest this equivalent line here on the crypto market cap chart. And as we can see on the HNT daily, we really did hold this level. We didn't go anywhere near this line again, and we are holding just above the 21 EMA. Now, I want to really note this is a critical, important nuance to really put in perspective how helium is doing compared to the broader market. As we can see here, I'm going to turn them on and off so you can see that is the 200 EMA, and this here on the chart of the daily HNT price is the 21 EMA. If we go to the Bitcoin chart and we look at those 2 levels, we can see the 200 EMA was broken 2 days ago quite severely with that big red candle, and we are also below the 21 EMA on the Bitcoin chart. As you can see, if we go back, HNT is significantly above the 200, and it is still holding above the 21. They have not been broken within the past week or so. These are daily candles. So that is hugely important. The question is, moving forward into 2022 with all of the positive catalysts that we see coming, whether it's the Coinbase listing, more 5G carriers onboarding onto the network, a continued flow of positive news regarding new companies joining the network, whether it is the HNT redenomination split, whether you think that'll be positive or negative, it is certainly going to have an impact on price. All of these things are expected in 2022, and I'm sure there will be so many more that we can't even anticipate at this point just yet. The question is, will that news, will those positive catalysts, will other positive catalysts be able to dislocate helium from the broader crypto market? Time will tell, but right now, as you can see by the levels here on the chart, the 200 EMA and the 21 EMA, as of right now, helium is significantly disregarding the other price action in the crypto markets, which is really great news. I also do love this weekly chart layout. This really puts into perspective where the gains are coming from. It is really only a matter of 3 or 4 weeks where we are seeing all of these gains throughout the year, which is really interesting. And look, it is possible to have another one of these really positive 3 to 4 week periods right here. We could be in the middle of it depending on how we close this weekly candle here. Guys, as you know, I do really love to zoom out on these charts. So that is the main reason I wanted to look at this. We are going to continue to touch base with this chart throughout 2022 and see how it plays out. But I hope this puts more into perspective how Helium is performing, and I cannot wait to see how it reacts in 2022. Thank you guys all so much for being here. That is all I have for today's video. Thank you for watching until the end. Please hit that like and subscribe if you have not already. But just like that, this video is over, and I'll see you